Hi everyone, my name's Kevin. I'm a HubSpot consultant that helps high growth companies build out CRMs that improve revenue growth. One of the things that my clients have been asking a lot about over the past couple months has been LinkedIn tracking. In email, you can track response rates and how many meetings you get from it. But with LinkedIn, it can be quite difficult because it's just not designed that way. And so what I've kind of built out is that I'm going to show you today is a way to track your sales reps or yourselves or your networks and how to basically just build that into your CRM so you're constantly watching these metrics and being able to improve it because what gets measured gets managed. And so I have on the top left, I have my total effective network, which basically means out of everyone who is connected with me, how many people are in my target demographic. It sits at about a 50% mark. And so from there, I have the messages I have by week, and this is logged as an email because that's how HubSpot natively tracks it and allows you to have all that granularity. And you could potentially add like response rate into this as well. Then I have LinkedIn networking or network over time, which shows by persona how is my network growing quarter over quarter. And this one, which would be CEOs, is like the most important one because they're the decision makers for my company. And so that shows me just how my network is growing, and I'm able to say, oh, okay, well, I did these amount of social posts, and my network grew this amount this quarter. You could lower that down to basically the granularity of month if you'd like as well. And then finally, I have my pipeline of contacts based on LinkedIn. So I have, 2,500 contacts that I am working or I would like to work with. And so then I track, have I connected with them? Have I asked or have I sent a connection request? Have I followed up or have I followed them? And then finally, am I not connected with them? And what's great about this is at about that 70% mark, I'm at 30% right now, that 70% mark, then I would want to fill that pipeline up and just add some new research leads in it. So I'm going to show you how I set this up because it's really interesting. So basically on the contact in HubSpot, I'm storing all my data in HubSpot because it's just a great place to store this revenue data. I made a group called LinkedIn Tracking. And I have 6 properties here. I have the LinkedIn status, which basically says, are they connected with me? Have I requested them? Have I followed them? Are they not connected? And I use a couple workflows to just track that. And then I have the Sales Nav profile. I don't use that as often right now because I'm not using Sales Nav at the moment. And then I have the LinkedIn profile, which I use the most. And that is just because I do stuff a little bit more organically from a network perspective. Then I have the message thread where that basically that specific person's inbox with me so I can get to it really quickly and manage it faster. And then I have the connection date when I connected with the person. And then finally, I have when I last updated their profile. This is all set up so that it moves all together. And so the ways that this is set up as I talk it through with you is I'm using HubSpot as the holder of the information. I'm using Apollo to find the LinkedIn profile on either new contacts in HubSpot or new LinkedIn profiles. So it goes both ways. Then I use Phantom Buster to fetch the information from LinkedIn. I use Zapier to be the bridge to handle all of this. So I'm going to start with just going over the 2 zaps that help me handle this. After I have the property set up, I have a connection callback, which basically pulls the information from Phantom Buster every time it runs and updates it into HubSpot. And so I use some Python code to basically say, pull this 30 person payload. So let's say I had 30 new contacts. I want to get them to HubSpot, and this runs daily. So then from there, I'm going to parse that. I'm going to say, hey, is there I'm going to ask Apollo, hey, is there an email for this person? Then I'm going to say, hey, HubSpot, do you already have this person in your CRM? And I'm going to connect the two. And then from there, I mark them as connected. From there, to like cue this all off, I need to first be able to have, when someone gets added into HubSpot, I need to filter them, check if they have a LinkedIn profile, which gets populated, and then also check like, do I have enough information to pull an email from Apollo? And then I use the Apollo API to just pull that information in, which gives me the LinkedIn profile. From there, what I typically have is a couple different things. Right now, I'm not really running it, but I have, if there's a new LinkedIn profile, send a connection request. And then to show you just a quick look at Phantom Buster, I have 3 phantoms that I basically run on a daily basis. I have this one, which is the most important one, the connection request, or not the connection request. This basically pulls all my contacts on a daily basis and says, hey, this is how many people have connected with you. Then from there, I have a LinkedIn inbox scraper, which scrapes my inbox for every message that I've sent, that I've got a reply on, and it puts that into my CRM, so I can track that just like I do with email. And then finally, I have a profile scraper that I haven't really used in a bit, but the goal with both Apollo and these profile scrapers is that, at least in my industry and a lot of the industries I serve, there's a lot of turnover. And so, within a year, someone, typically might move on to another company for a higher salary. And so it's very important information to track how people change jobs. If it's someone who you have a great relationship with, you could probably follow them to the next company. And so that's kind of why that's set up, so that it just pulses that every single couple weeks, basically, for the entire CRM. Finally, to just go through one last thing, this inbox scraper, it will send a piece of information to a Google Cloud function that I wrote, and it basically will parse that information into emails in HubSpot. And so what's great about that is I can, I'm not going to show you the individual messages, but it'll basically show me on a graph like, hey, here are the amount of emails that I sent, and potentially I haven't wrote that in yet, but it could show me, hey, this is the amount of responses I've gotten every single week from my email messages or my LinkedIn messages. And so for a company that, or an individual that runs a lot of their business on LinkedIn, I think it's very valuable to keep track of all of this, especially because social selling is such an important part of the sales process now. And it's not great when you don't have data on like what's working. And so just like with email, once you have that data, you can see like, all right, marketing is improving our network connections by X amount. If I looking here, if I started investing in more social media in right around Q4, and look at the jump. It's gone from 20 connections every quarter to 60. So it's important to track that and figure out like, hey, who are we connecting with? What types of people? That's why I've got persona in here. And then what are the reply rates? Because all this allows us to just improve our outreach strategy and help more people by connecting with them. So if you have any questions on like how this all works, it's a pretty fun subject for me. And I'm constantly kind of tweaking with it and figuring out the right ROI of all of it. One weakness to talk about on this is that you do need to refresh your session cookies on Phantom Buster as you're constantly pulling information, just because you don't want to abuse the system, basically. And so that's really important. It's kind of why I don't go overboard on like sending connections, and more focus on like gathering information about my own profile rather than like, do what a lot of people do, which is like the email blasts. I think this is a really interesting subject, and let me know if you think this would be valuable to your business. All right, bye.